Welcome to Universal Man, where we turn your flight into fight so that you can master yourself and conquer your goals. My name is Mark Webb, and I'm here to help you sharpen your masculine edge. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to stop running from your potential. I'm talking about this because I know a lot about it personally myself. I've spent a huge amount of my life running from my own potential, trying to hide from it, and it's a terrible way to live. And so I want to talk to you guys about how I've managed to break out of this, how I've helped other people break out of it, and hopefully how I'm going to help you break from this habit of running from the person that you are meant to be. How can you tell that you are hiding from your own potential? Well, there's a few telltale signs. The first would be that you're constantly taking the path of least resistance. Basically, your course in life has just been charted by your comfort zone. Whatever feels easier, that's what you do. Okay, that's a good sign that you're hiding from your potential. Another one would be that you feel like a victim controlled by your circumstances. You feel like you've been dealt a certain hand and that controls everything for you, that you have no say or choice in how your life unfolds. It's a good sign that you're hiding from your potential. Another one would be that you have no satisfaction in life. You do not like what you do on a day-to-day basis. You feel zero fulfillment. That's a pretty good sign that you're hiding from your own potential. But the one that was most poignant for me, all of those applied to me, but the one that was most poignant for me was at the end of the day, I was filled with anxiety and regret because I knew that, yet again, I betrayed myself, that I failed to do the good things for myself that I knew would make me someone that I admire. And that's really the goal, right? That's the goal. You want to become someone that you admire. Who wouldn't want to live this way? But in order to live this way, you have to actually construct that vision. And that vision can get pretty scary. That's why we don't do it. We're afraid of what this vision might ask of you. If you really let yourself take yourself seriously, what would that ask of you? What would that cost you? What would that mean you would have to face? There's a lot of fear that comes into that. Fear that you can't measure up. There's, fear of failing. And then maybe just extreme sensations of shame around the fact that you haven't done this stuff yet. And so I want to talk a little bit about how to deal with this sort of situation. Really what it comes down to, it's an act of bravery. It's an act of bravery where you go in and you take ownership of your ideal, where you stop running from it, stop hiding from it, and you start looking at it, facing it, and taking it head on. That's a very challenging thing to do in this life. It might be the most challenging thing to do in life. Archetypally, it's like the work. The work of holding up your highest conception of goodness, letting it filter into your life, and then trying to live in accordance with it. That's the highest moral aim that anyone can aspire to. But so often we just, instead of looking at that light, we treat it like it's too bright and we hide from it. And we turn into these, little golems, in the dark, just like playing with our addictions and escape behaviors and that kind of crap. And ultimately we end up very dissatisfied and very unhappy. So the first thing you got to do, the first step of bravery, is learning how to actually think of this vision, like actually letting yourself visualize it and fall in love with that vision. Okay. And if you haven't really done this, chances are kind of some less than authentic stuff is going to be the first thing that pops up. Like, this is particularly true, I think, with young guys. And this is normal because your ideals, in many ways, they start as things that you inherit. Things that you inherit from your parents, from your culture, and that sort of things. And it takes a while of sorting through what you've inherited to find out what's really authentic to you. So, if you just inherit the ideals that culture pushes on you. Maybe you just think like, oh, the ideal me, he's got a 6-pack, he eats super clean, like paleo, he's got like a mansion, is having sex with a lot of chicks, got a real hot car, that kind of thing. But maybe that stuff's not really actually authentic to who you are. Maybe that stuff's not actually super important. And if you don't do the work of actually looking at this stuff and thinking at it and actually trying to actualize it, well, you're not going to really figure out what it is. So the first step then is to take the time to really think. You really got to let yourself think, and it's going to be a little scary. It's going to be a little frightening, because a real ideal, when you let yourself connect with it, it's going to be simultaneously enticing and terrifying at the same time. And this is exactly what you need, actually. People think, like, people try to construct these visions that are just like all good, and you want to have the goodness there as much as possible. You want to find that vision that's most as attractive as possible. But the thing is, if that vision is only attractive, well, chances are it might just be a fantasy, because otherwise, you would have already done it. If you have something that's just all good in front of you, you've done it pretty much, because your brain, your dopamine's hooked into it. It's good for you. It's doable. There's no fear of something in the way. Well, you've already done it. Okay. So chances are your ideal is not that thing. Okay. If your ideal seems like it's just beautiful and happy and shiny and good, well, you're probably not looking at the full ideal. You're not looking at what it would cost you, what you would have to give up presently, and that sort of thing. So recognize that a real ideal has both a positive and a negative sort of component of it. There's going to be some kind of sacrifice and cost to achieve it, but there's going to be some major reward that you can stand to gain. And when you start with this, like, everyone's got varying levels of visibility when they start constructing their ideal life. Some people can see, 1 foot in front of their face, and the other people can see miles down the road. Some people, from a very young age, know exactly what they're supposed to do with their life. They have a big vision. They want to do this, or they want to do that. They want to be a professional sports player. They want to be, an artist or whatever. And they have this calling deep within their soul, and they can plot their whole life out to support that. And that's great. Okay. Other people, most people, I would say, don't have that. They only can see like a much closer vision, and that's fine. But the biggest thing that you want to do is you want to kind of construct this ideal, this vision, in sort of layers, in phases, if you will, because chances are you're not going to be able to hit the pinnacle off the bat. Okay. It's going to take you a little while to get there. Maybe multiple iterations, multiple legs of the journey you're going to have to conquer. So with a lot of guys that I see and that I work with, the first leg of that journey is quitting porn and developing general self-discipline. So that is a huge shift if you've spent the majority of your life hooked into porn and masturbation and that sort of thing. It's a crippling thing that's sucking your energy, your motivation, your time, and chances are also completely destroying your ability to live in moral alignment with yourself, which is incredibly psychologically important, I would say. So a lot of guys, they take out porn, that's the bad habit, and then they bring in good habits, okay? And so I'm talking about like fundamental stuff, like getting your sleeping right, getting like relative health, meaning you move regularly, maybe you go to the gym, doesn't need to be anything crazy, and maybe you like aren't eating only Doritos. And then on top of that, you've got basic productivity where you're managing your baseline responsibilities and that sort of thing. Okay. So that should be kind of your first layer. If you can't get that, then anything else you build on top of it is just going to crumble. So you got to get the solid foundation of, decent discipline, in terms of being able to manage yourself like an adult, and then decent self-control in terms of, I'm not controlled by an addiction. Okay. So that'd be like maybe the first leg. But then the next leg, maybe that's where you start bringing in the even more exciting stuff, where like maybe you start working toward a different career. Maybe you have to start studying for a test for a big exam or something like that. Or maybe you, start going and you focusing on dating or something along those lines. And so what you want to do is you want to figure out what are the legs of the journey that I'm going to focus on. Because if you try and do it all at once, you're going to fail, but in a way that's not productive. We'll talk about productive failing in a moment here. But you want to make sure that what you're doing is a good, reasonable fit for you. And here's how you can tell, okay, that you've constructed a solid action plan, that you've constructed you've broken off a good chunk of your ideal to actually work on, okay, is that there's going to be 3 things that happen. One, you're going to have a level of excitement, okay? You're going to know that you need to pick something that's big enough and rewarding enough seeming that's exciting to you. Okay. And that's going to what I mean by that is that you have some kind of emotional reaction to that idea, that there's maybe a little dopamine or a little, happiness that comes from thinking about it. Like, oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool when you start thinking about it. So it needs to be big enough to be enticing. Second thing is that it needs to be enough outside of your comfort zone to trigger your stress mechanism. Chances are it's already going to do that. But that's something that needs to happen. Your stress mechanism needs to be triggered. And that's a sign that it is, a real thing. That's something that's going to actually expand your horizons as a person. Okay. And we need that stress because that stress is energy, as I've talked about a lot in this channel. And so once you have that, you have the reward part of your brain triggered, and then the stress part of your brain triggered. Then you need to make sure that what you're aiming for is doable enough that you're willing to fight for it. Because once that stress mechanism's triggered, if it's too much stress, it's too challenging, you're going to just go into flight mode, and you're going to unconsciously, continuously flee from your goal. Okay, but if it's doable enough, then you're going to be able to step into that fear and choose to fight. And that's a different psychological process, but it's one that actually gives you tremendous amounts of energy. And so you got to find something that's right on that level of comfort zone, or like just outside your comfort zone enough to make you dive into it and really fight to make it go all the way. Sometimes this is something you need to work up to. In a sense, it's something that you need to kind of marinate in your mind for a little while, learn to fall in love with it on the mental level before you actually start taking action on it. And this is something I know has been tough for myself, is that if I feel like I can't take action yet, if I feel like I'm not fully on board yet, I would just put it out of my mind. But very often, that next step in your life is not something that you're actually ready to take action on right now. It's great when you can force yourself into that, but sometimes you need to actually think about it and let yourself fall in love with that vision. So, for example, all right, say you're a hardcore video game player, all right, like myself, and I've played video games my whole life, big part of my family background and that kind of stuff. And I'm realizing, wow, this thing's sucking a lot of my energy out of me, and it's not good for me. And so, the idea of just quitting it cold turkey, that seemed terrible, okay? But what I needed to do is actually spend a decent amount of time visualizing my life without it, falling in love with the vision of my life without that thing, and what it would look like instead, the things I would use to replace it, and that sort of stuff. And it's almost one of those things that you have to practice dying to mentally before you can physically enact it. Obviously, you don't want to spend too much time in this inaction phase, but I'm just letting you know that I'm being real here. Sometimes that's the way it's got to go. You gotta live it out mentally first before you can really step into it. But just try not to spend too much time there. Now, whatever it is that you decide is that ideal of yours, you've broken it down into some kind of actionable thing, something that you can do on a day-to-day sort of basis. Maybe it looks like, all right, I don't watch porn, I eat one vegetable a day, I go for a walk every single day, and I use a to-do list every single day. Maybe that's your baseline of you kind of developing your personal discipline, all right? Once you have that, the challenge is now you can fail, all right? Once you have an ideal, you have the ability to fail. And this is a big reason why people run from their ideals in the first place, is because they don't want to fail. They want to be able to hide themselves from that potential of shame. Okay. And I've done a video about this, but I think it bears repeating here, is the idea that shame is this big bad thing. Our culture's always talking about, don't you shame me. How dare you shame me? Let's remove all shame and stigma. And that's bullshit. Shame it can be very toxic and destructive, but it can also be extremely healthy and normal and helpful. Okay. If you're experiencing shame because you didn't show up as a good person, as the person that you want to be, then that's good. Being someone that you don't like should not feel good, right? It should feel terrible, and that's a useful feeling. And so what you need to do is you need to actually learn how to leverage that pain in a positive way. So whenever you embark on a new leg of your journey, a new phase of moving towards your ideal, you're going to fail repeatedly. Chances are, you're going to fail a lot. And if you're being honest with yourself and you're picking, something that's hard enough to really do the things that I said, you're going to fail. And so what you got to do here's how you turn that into a growth point. All right. Here's how you fail forward. Okay. The first thing you have to do is you have to reflect. All right. You have to own the fact that you failed. And I like to do this all in a journal. I think you can do it verbally with someone. If you've got like someone that you can be accountable with, like maybe a workout buddy or a good friend or a coach. I mean, that's what I do. A big part of my coaching is that I hold people accountable. And so what that means is that you fess up when you screw up. Okay. You come clean. And even if it's in your journal, you just write it down. I screwed up today in X, Y, and Z way. Then you want to measure how you screwed up. You want to look at the specific things that went wrong that led you to take a poor action that you feel ashamed of, okay? And so what you do is you look, all right, well, I thought this thing, this is what came. I had this feeling, okay? Maybe I had a sexual urge, okay? I had a sexual urge, and then I started thinking, maybe I should look up that actress that I saw earlier that looked pretty attractive, okay? And then you started Googling her, and then you saw sexually suggested images, and then it spiraled downhill from there, okay? Well, that's what happened. And how do you feel now? Record that. I feel like crap because I went against my goals. So then after you write down what happened on the mental, emotional, and physical level, you want to say, what can I change next time? What do I think about this? You got to play kind of like detective. You got to actually critically think about what happened and then what you can change so that the same thing does not happen again. All right. So you look at maybe in that scenario, you realize, oh, dang. The thing where I really turned south was when I let that idea of curiosity. I pretended that my curiosity wasn't just an urge to watch porn, but it was. I fooled myself into thinking that I just wanted to see what this actress did. I wanted to see maybe some of the other movies that she was in because she was such a great actor. And she wasn't. You were just attracted to her. And so you use this curiosity as a Trojan horse to sabotage yourself. Okay. And so you can see that. And so moving forward, what you have to do is construct a plan for next time. And so maybe next time you say, all right, next time I get the curiosity, I want to search this actress up. I'm going to go for a walk instead. I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to read a book, whatever your safety behaviors are. You can look at some of my older videos where I talk about that sort of stuff. But the key is identify that fork in the road and understand what the signs are that fork in the road is coming up again. So in this case, it would be this feeling of triggering, the feeling of curiosity, and then wanting to run a Google search on an actress. Okay, so those are your red lights that let you know that something's amiss and it's your opportunity to shift. And here's the final part that's so important is you want to take that feeling of disappointment in yourself. And you don't want to just hide from it. A lot of people do this. They just jump right into being positive and just being like, oh, hey, you can't be perfect. Better luck next time. And then, the exact same thing happens over and over and over again. And I know this because I've done this so much. I've tried to stay so positive, and you can get really good at not feeling bad about things, but it's not useful. Feel bad about it, but connect the bad feeling not to who you are as a person, connect it to the poor action. And so you let yourself feel that pain of, I screwed up, I set myself back, and here's what happened. Tie it exactly to that event. And so when you can tie that negative, painful situation to that specific event, guess what? A new circuit has been born in your brain. And next time that similar event comes up, your brain's going to remember, oh crap, last time we went this way and we felt pain. So let's think about this. What did we agree we were going to do this time? And then you have the opportunity to actually do it. And so this is how you fail forward. And what I do personally is I go through I do this every day. At the end of the day, I take inventory and I kind of scan, I look inward and I kind of scan myself. It's like, all right, what hurts in here emotionally? Where am I unhappy at the moment? And then I take the time to write about it. I figure out exactly what's up. And often it's because, maybe I screwed up over here or I'm ignoring this thing or whatever. And it's like, it's painful work, but it's the good work. It is the work. That's how you move forward in life is you hold this ideal of like, all right, I want to be this person. I want to be the best person that I can be. And it's a huge burden to bear that desire because then every single thing you do is measured against that ideal. And it's the best weight to carry though, because it's the only thing that's going to lead you to becoming someone that you are really proud to be. And that's worth anything. If at the end of the day, you can have the ability to feel good about yourself and who you are, that's literally priceless. And for me personally, the only way I can feel like that is if I'm honest with myself. And so even if I screw up, even if I screw up a bunch during the day, or I've been screwing up a lot lately, if I'm honest with myself and I make a sincere effort to try and prepare myself to do better next time, I can forgive myself and I can feel good about myself. Because this is one of those things that it's simultaneously in the moment and then also projected into the future. It's like you need to have that vision of where you want to be in the future, but like you can only ever be in the present. So it's like, especially when you screw up, the way that you correct your present is by simply reorienting yourself honestly toward that ideal. And so maybe that reorienting yourself is first admitting that you screwed up in X, Y, and Z way, making a plan to do better next time, and then sincerely moving forward with that intention in your mind. And you can feel good about yourself in doing that. I think you can. And you can even feel good about yourself while you're holding some shame, because you know that that shame is useful. That's kind of the heart of it. It's like, have the bravery, have the fortitude to hold that image of that person that you want to be and go at it with everything that you have. Hold yourself accountable and measure yourself. It's a painful process, but it's the only one that's really worth doing. And I forgot to mention this, but it goes without saying, this ideal is going to shift. And you have to let it shift. You have to let it evolve, because the ideal you first design for yourself is based upon where you're at in that moment. But in your process of moving forward, you're going to grow, your understanding is going to increase, your vision is going to expand, and maybe you're going to have to change direction because there's going to be new information. You're going to be a better person. You're going to be wiser. You're going to be, have a far more understanding of what you're capable of and that sort of stuff, what you're interested in. And so let it evolve. And that's really the heart of it. Hopefully you guys found this stuff useful and helpful. If you did, please like, please subscribe. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Oh yeah. Also, follow me on social media. I've been doing a lot of stuff on Instagram. I've been trying to post on Twitter too, but Instagram I'm kind of treating like a little mini blog/vlog, where I'm just throwing in pieces of insight that I've got every day, and some people seem to find it pretty helpful and entertaining. So go ahead and check me out on Instagram. You can see my little handle down here. There we go. And yeah, follow me there. All right, that's enough. Stay sharp. I'll see you in the next one.